I'm going dumb. I'm trying to live it and stunt. Get anything that I want whenever I want. It's okay to be broke. It's not okay to be a...
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And we are back. We are recapping a show for the first time. Although we have been following it for the first two seasons, we are just getting around to recapping it. And that show is Bel Air. You know, the rebirth of Bel Air. We have really been loving what they've done with this show. And now that, we had to feel it out and see where they were going. Season 1 was great. Season 2 picked up. Now season 3 is here. And it seems like they are off to a really good start. So we are going to be recapping season 3, episode 1 today. But before we get started, please make sure you subscribe to our channel, like this video, and click that notification bell so you get alerted whenever we post. We are very excited, though, to be back with you all after our small little hiatus in between recaps. And it feels good to be back. I don't know about y'all, but I'm happy to be back.
Yeah,
Me too.
It's summer break. Had a nice summer break, but it's good to be back to work.
Yeah. And, just a little blurb about this show, Tiff, I know you have had the pleasure of running into a lot of the cast members from Bel Air. And recently, while we were at the Power Book 2 premiere in New York, we got to run into Adrian Holmes, who plays Uncle Phil. So shout out to him. But for you, Tiff, that was your second run-in with him.
Because I went to the American Black Film Festival in 2022, and the welcome reception they had, got to see the cast there, took pictures with Adrian and the actor that plays Jazz and actor that plays Jeffrey and things, and they were real cool.
Yeah. So, it feels good to have them, back on this show. I really love what they've done. The acting is superb. The storyline is great. So, they are just kicking things off this season in episode 3. I'm sorry, with episode 1. And they're picking up right where they left off. We know that it was a tumultuous time last season, especially for Carlton. He had confronted his drug issue head on and very publicly. And so he's kind of been dealing with the fallout of that. And I was really, really glad to see that he went to rehab this episode, because that was much needed. He had been ignoring that issue for a while and trying to, mask it and just put on a front and pretend, that everything was okay. But he was really tearing down, breaking down inside. So the rehab thing was really good. I'm glad that they are incorporating that into the storyline. I think it's much needed, especially in today's climate. People have so much going on. It's very relatable. So they're showing people like how to cope and showing that it's okay to admit to, having a vice.
Yeah.
So
telling your story, I do agree. I love the fact that they're dealing with drug abuse and and some of the fallouts when you make certain choices. So kudos to them for bringing this to the up front, and just to sit back and enjoy, and you may find some things that you even relate to.
Yeah, I was a little concerned with how Carlton was going to deal, though, because we know rehab is a good start, but it's really up to you as the person who attends to maintain those good habits and everything you learned there. And I know certain things could be a trigger too. And when he came home, even though they had this big welcome party for him, they got him all his favorite foods and whatnot, he noticed the lock from the wine cellar. And stuff like that can be like triggering, because it's like, oh, you don't trust me. You don't think that I can, control myself.
Well, though, I thought, because I thought exactly the way you did, when you saw that lock, that he may have thought you would think he might have taken it more personal than he did, but I thought he handled that pretty well. We got some issues with Miss Five, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Well, he's only 40 days clean, so that's not long. And and people who have addiction issues, I mean, that's a lifelong battle.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm still worried for him throughout this season, because he's making some good strides. He came clean and stuff. But one of the things that happens, one of the things that I saw that happened, like, and I don't want to jump too far ahead of you, but the conversation he had with his mom, like,
I was gonna go there.
He breached the trust with his mom with all the lies he told, and she said, you know, I not only do I not trust you, but I can't trust myself. And it made me think about Snowfall because, you know, Wanda, you know, when Wanda got clean, remember she tried to circle back and go to her grandmother's house with the gift and stuff, and the grandmother wouldn't even let her in. So that's sometimes those are the consequences. Like, I do believe in second chances, especially with addiction and stuff. That's a disease. But sometimes the people that lie in wait that you've hurt while you were in that state, it takes them a while to come around.
Absolutely. I mean, I got that feeling from Ashley. You know, as they were at the dinner table, and she's kind of like, "Are we just gonna skate over this? Like, y'all not gonna question him about like any things that he's confronted? What kind of progress has he made? Like, y'all just gonna try to glaze over the issue like everything's all good all of a sudden?" And I appreciated that because she mentioned to her friend earlier, like how her family puts on this front about being so perfect and everything being all good. And she's like, no, everything ain't all good. Like, we gotta tackle this.
Let's address the elephant in the room. And I did like Ash for doing so. However, I have to say, Carlton, to me, handled things a little better in this first episode. He never really lost it. I mean, most times he takes it so personal, then he goes out and he does something stupid again. But this time, I think he handled things a little better. I like his support group. I did not like what Viv did.
With the young lady.
With the young
Amira.
Yeah. I didn't like that at all because she too is going through the same thing, and you know, and support is what they both need. You know, but instead, she kind of, you know, threw all. I understand now. Look,
I'm on the fence about that one because that would be a trauma bond.
I understand why she did it, but I think that she could have handled that a little differently.
I think she could too.
She didn't have to hurt the girl's feelings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she could have. She could have handled that better. I'm with you, Ron. However, I feel you, T, because I think with a loved one, because she said, "Oh, I'm a repeat offender." Like, if you are a recovered addict, you don't need to be handling no repeat offenders.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, I know that, you know, I think addicts, they have sponsors and stuff like that. And they can encourage one another, but at the same time, bad association spoils just what happens. Scripture.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, and they're both trying, and I'm not, her delivery was, I feel you on that, but I understand her concern. Because if my son was an addict and he was hanging with a former addict, and you know, this is his first time in rehab, where she said, I don't know, I would be concerned too.
Yeah.
I think some of that came from the fact that, like Viv said to Phil, when they were together in the bedroom, that, you know, she was so blind by things that she just couldn't believe that her son would end up that way. And I think that, and they both kind of took responsibility for Carlton's behavior. You know, of course, Carlton is a young man. He you know, should know better. But again, as you said too, Tiffany, a little earlier on, he's only 40 days out, and you know, it's not likely that he's going to go one and done. It's not likely. And Viv, I guess, doesn't understand that. She's never been around it, so I can understand why she did that push with the young lady. I got it. But sometimes we have to watch what we say, because you don't want to push her back into, you know.
That's true, because he does need somebody who understands, you know, and this young lady is somebody who understands, you know, what he's going through. And he has a lot of pressures. Like, you know, I felt for him when, you know, the possibility of his dream school of Princeton, not being able to go to Princeton and stuff, that they pulled out from him having an interview. And I was like, wow, you know, there are consequences to your actions. And I was like, That was a tough consequence, and I'm
Yeah,
hoping that he'll have a chance to redeem himself.
I think he will. I think that Carlton, like I mentioned earlier, that could have been a big trigger for him to like spiral and go back into the drugs and stuff. And it seemed like it was triggering to him that his parents had also removed the door off of his room. And so it's like all of these things that could have set him off again.
Yeah.
But like you said, Ron, he handled it pretty well. And I just hope that he can keep up the good work, because he's skating on thin ice between that battle and addiction. And then, like you said, the associations can teeter you back on the edge. So I'm like, she seems like a nice girl, but she also seemed like she was very persuasive with him. Like when he was like, I'm about to leave and we shouldn't be doing this, and she's like going for it, like she's not letting him out of it.
I ain't mad at that. Hold up a minute.
You're right. Yeah, she can be persuasive and things. So I hope he's able to stay on the straight and narrow. And it's just interesting that both he and Will were having some struggles this episode.
Yeah, so let's talk about Will and his struggles, because he has kind of been, it seemed like the episode for him started off great. I mean, he was really upbeat and happy and just going through life, and it seemed like all is well in sunny Bel Air. But then he has this run-in with his father that kind of sends him on the downward spiral, because his dad, we know last season they had a very kind of nasty encounter that left a bad taste in Will's mouth, and he really wasn't feeling his father. But to run into him by chance, while you're out grabbing some food, and to find out that, it's not just that you run into him because he's in town, like he's actually living in the area and did not reach out. Like that's a huge slap in the face.
Yeah.
So that I can understand, why that bothered him and why it affected his life so much. It's like, that's major. I at first, when he ran back into his dad, he went to confront him at the barbershop. And his dad was kind of explaining, like, I just wanted to get on my feet. I wanted to make sure that when I come to you, I'm coming correct or whatever. And at first Will wasn't trying to hear it, but his dad really kind of explained himself, and he seemed like he won him over when he mentioned, like, oh yeah, I was a basketball star too, blah blah blah. But then his dad messed up the whole conversation by really discouraging him from pursuing anything other than basketball. And I was like, oh, you were doing so good until you, like, that was the wrong thing to say.
Well, his father, Lou, the biggest mistake he made was, among that, was also telling Will that, he earned everything on his, on his own.
Yeah.
These people are kind of high and mighty, and they'll be here today, gone tomorrow. That issue Lou has to deal with. That's a personal issue. You don't have to rub that onto your son. Secondly,
and I'm not against nepotism either. Like, come on now.
I mean, hey,
especially
and it's not
if
even
you got the connections, you got the resources, and then use them.
Exactly. And I what I don't like about Will in this instance is that, look, man, you've already established your life, as you say, in sunny Bel Air. You're doing well, and here's your dad. Okay, I can see the shock of not expecting him at the little eatery that were there, but man, grow up, be a man. I mean, have a sit down, chat with him. You don't have to love him up, but hey, Dad, why did you do this? Why did you do that? I thought the barbershop discussion was kind of going all right, but they got these little cues, and the moment that you hear them, Will just takes off. Look, your dad, I got that.
He's still a kid, and the thing is, his father wasn't there for him.
Okay.
So I mean, and you expect like that. There's built up resentment, and when he tried, it was the first season when we first saw Lou.
Right.
When he tried to reach out to him, it seemed like he was extending an olive branch, and then Lou started tripping on him and stuff. So when it's on the parent. Like it's Will. like Will needs to meet him halfway, but it is on the parent. Like you're the one that abandoned him and wasn't there. So it is on him to try to, the olive branch, the overtures, and to try to win Will in and draw him in because Will is struggling. You can see that he wants to. Like you can see that it piqued his interest when his father said he played basketball and he was good and he was MVP, just like Will is. And because when you learn these things about your parents and stuff or family members, you're like, it's like you're learning about yourself. You're learning about your history. You're like, oh, this is who I inherited that talent from. So
my DNA.
Yeah, he's learning about himself. So
and that's what I meant. You went there and then you started to get a little discouraged, because your dad said a few things. I get it, and you're right. It is up to the parent to make the first move. Unfortunately, Lou's first move was a flop. It was just messed up tore up from the floor up. It was just.
And he talked about his mom,
and
that's got to be like, okay,
that's not cool.
Mom raised him as a single mom, and Lou disrespected his mother. Like, after you haven't been there, so that's so.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. I can say too that I'm glad Will and Carlton have each other. They seem to bounce off each other very well, and they seem to be able to hold each other down. The one that I'm concerned with the most is Ash.
Because Ashley needs to be watched because she seems like she is tired of the nonsense. She's tired of faking it and putting up fronts. And I think Carlton was right for asking Hillary to watch her.
Hillary can't watch. Hillary got problems. I'm sorry.
Hillary do have problems.
Hillary is tripping.
Yeah,
Hillary is tripping.
She's tripping.
Right. But before we move on to that one, I just did want to kind of address the Carlton and Will situation again, because Carlton has had Will come to his rescue so many times in the past seasons. And, it was Carlton's time to reciprocate that energy this time around. And so when Will missed the interview for Quentin's program, he really went all out at the little barbecue they had for Juneteenth. And he was like, I know that Will left a bad first impression, but here's why. And he kind of like really started naming all the things that are positive about Will and how he goes above and beyond for other people, to sometimes to his own detriment, And so Quentin seemed to really appreciate that, because it sounds like Quentin might have had a similar background where he was prejudged and, people look at him a certain way without getting to know him first. And so he gave Will a second chance, and Carlton benefited from that as well.
I like that he put a mirror up in front of Quentin so that Quentin can see himself. And that's what, a lot of us need that sometimes. We think we made it, and then somebody puts a mirror in front of us and we see who we actually are. We come from that place too. And so that was, and as you said, Carlton was on par with that. I mean, he went to bat for Will and did it in such a classy way. By attacking inadvertently attacking Quentin's ills and allowing Quentin to kind of have a retrospect on himself and see where he came from. So now he can understand Will a lot better. So that was absolutely, I think that was one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah. And the fact that they get to start a new business together. I mean, I think Will is really motivated by this because he wants to prove to his father that like basketball is not my only way out. So much so that he actually quit, the basketball team.
Is that smart though?
I was like, I was like, well, I don't think you should just quit the basketball team.
That's your gift. I mean, that's your gift and you do so well with it. Hey, why not? If it's yours, use it.
I felt like he was I thought that was a rash decision for him to do that, because I feel like you can do both. You could do both, but
take your son, for instance. He's into music. That's his gift. If he tried to talk himself out of it for some a reason, I'm sure you'd sit him down and say, look, you can do all this, but don't set aside something that you are naturally, that you do naturally. It's hard enough. There's so many people who want to play basketball or want to do music. Everybody has to do that.
Yeah. I felt bad for Will. I think his father, that situation has really gotten to his head, and he's trying to act like it's not bothering him as much as it is, but it is. It's turned his world upside down.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm hoping that Lou will realize that he has caused a lot of damage. I hope that he'll get it together and really step up and be who Will needs him to be. And you know, I think that Quentin is a positive influence in Will's life, and that he can mentor both he and Carlton in a way that is beneficial. I think that their business will likely be successful because it has a purpose, you know, and it's something that Will and Carlton seem passionate about. It gives them some like a passion project. So, you know, that was good to see. But, you know, we briefly mentioned Hillary. So Miss Hillary has, you know, broken up with Jazz. They are no longer an item. She's moved on to the next. She got her a new man who got a little coin. So
well, he's an old man. He's an old boyfriend that came back on the scene. She used to date him before.
Right.
Well, when a new old man.
Yeah. She got that old thing back.
Yes, and she has been just jet setting it, spending it should have been a week, but turned into a month-long vacation with him. And surprise announcement after, you know, running into Jazz at the party, and Jazz kind of letting her know, like, you gonna backslide just like you did with me. You know, you don't like to confront your issues. All you do is run away, and you're gonna run away from him too. And then she drops the bomb.
That was hilarious. He was like, "You a runner, you a track star." I was like,
But, you know, Jazz was right. I think Hillary does have a problem with confronting her issues, as does a lot of their it seems to be a thing in their family that it's all about the image that you put out to the public and not about what it actually is.
Hillary just doesn't know what she wants. She's about that life. She loves the bling. She loves all of that. And I can't blame her for it. That's how you grew up. But, you know, when it comes to feelings, I don't think she knows who she is. I don't think she knows what she wants in terms of a relationship.
I think she still loves Jazz.
I think so too.
I think she loves him, but
Jazz didn't didn't have that bling. Old boy did.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say that Jazz really grounds her, because she is somebody who is all into the perception of things. Being a social media influencer, you got to always be on, like 24/7. Then having this family who's well known in the public and really prestigious, like, you got to always be on. And so, like, Jazz is that one person that kind of brings her back down to earth. Like, I can just be myself with you. I can be normal. Whereas her new man, he's also in the public, you know, eye. So it's kind of like, even in your relationship with this man, you would have to always be on with him. And you don't have an opportunity to just let your hair down and be who you are. And I think that's what she enjoys about Jazz.
She has the opportunity because she had it with Jazz. It's just that I think that when you're so far apart from knowing what you truly want in a relationship, you know, anybody or anything can come in and disrupt that. She was feeling a certain way because Jazz comes in with a fine young lady.
Yep. She did feel away. She did feel away.
I mean, she felt so what's up with that? I mean, your man's not bad. You know, he's taking you around the world in 6 days. So, I mean, what's up with that?
But he hasn't moved on from Jazz.
But she hasn't moved on from Jazz. She's enjoying the fruits of.
You moved out from Jazz. You know, you moved out from Jazz, and so, what do you want, woman? I mean, come on now, you're confused.
They ain't gonna marry that man. They ain't gonna make it.
No, they
ain't gonna make it.
I'm gonna tell you, they won't make it because Hillary can't. She can't decide what.
No, because she's gonna be back in Jazz's face, and especially if you know Ivy, played by Carucci. You know, last time I felt like she was trying to push up on Jazz, and I'm still not sure if she's trustworthy. Like, they seem to be cool, but I was like, you know, since Hillary is moving on, what if Carucci, like, really is a Carucci, calling her by her real name, Ivy, what if she basically pushes up on Jazz? I bet you that would get a reaction out of out of her too. Oh, and I got
Definitely.
when I went to ABFF and I saw the presentation with the Bel Air cast and stuff. Coco Jones, Hillary, and Jazz, like they have a real chemistry off screen. Like the banter between them two, like even if you see interviews, like they go at it. They have a great chemistry off camera too. So it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and I think that her and Jazz are like a really good match. And unlike the original Fresh Prince of Bel Air show where Jazz was like this clown and he was always joking on, and Hillary was like, they just seem like opposites, complete opposites. This Hillary and Jazz in this version of the show has a lot more chemistry, and Jazz in this show, he has a lot more going for himself than the other Jazz had. So I do like that the tweaks that they make in the show to kind of like bring it up to date. But yeah, I'm worried about Hillary too. She got to anchor herself in something other than her perception to the public. She got to figure out who she is, what she wants, what she sees herself as, because I think you're right, Ron, in saying that she does not really know. She's very indecisive.
Yeah, she doesn't know. But I mean, just anchor in yourself. She has a good thing going. Do you? And when it comes around, it's time. But these two men, she's gonna.
I think she likes being wooed by that man, LaMarcus. Because I mean, like who wouldn't? I mean, like he's comfortable because she used to date him before, and he has money and he's jet setting and all this stuff. So I think she's comfortable with him and enjoys being wooed by him. But I don't think that she's in love with him.
Yeah. And another relationship that got some issues going on, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv. I mean, I understand they are both doing great. Aunt Viv is, moved up. She's got her own office and everything. All these assistants. Obviously, she is doing very well. Uncle Phil, same deal. Just got a new office with this amazing view and all this great stuff going on for both of them. But they have neglected their marriage. I think they had mentioned, Uncle Phil said that they hadn't been intimate since Carlton went to rehab, and that was 30 days ago.
40. Listen.
Right.
Listen. Aunt Viv is tripping. Aunt Viv is tripping because look at him. And number two, he is working with her nemesis.
Yeah.
He left his firm to go work with a chick that she don't really rock with, and she already had like concerns about him working with her, and you gonna send him out there sexless? I'm like, something gonna happen this season, y'all. Something gonna happen.
I
Recipe for disaster.
And I love the fact that they have so many situations that are real, because and let me say this, and I know I'm probably gonna get beat up, but I'm saying it anyway. When you neglect a man or a man neglecting his wife, and to me, that's a form of cheating. And when you then find out or discover that this man or this woman has gone out and found new interest, and then we want to blame the person that stepped out. Now, of course, the person that stepped out did a bad thing. That is not cool in so many ways. But you always have to, as I say, turn that mirror inward, out, and look into that mirror and ask, what did I do to possibly ignite this situation? Because like you said, he ain't a bad looking brother, and
40 days. 40, she is tripping.
40
Is he gonna
days.
send him out there with this woman?
Who?
I'm with you on that one. That's nuts.
I'm like,
She's really
Viv,
tripping.
I know you tired, but you better listen.
Look, get some no-dos.
Get some Red Bull, something. I don't know. Girl.
Look, just keep your eyes open. Let me in.
I'm telling you, I'm like, girl, no, like, I don't know, but get it together, because I'm like,
Yeah.
She know the chick ain't no good. She know that he shared a kiss with her before. Like, there's a chemistry, and you gonna send him into the lion's den?
I hear you. She is definitely tripping on that
I might have to give Aunt Viv the hands. I think give Aunt Viv the hands.
I think she deserves it.
Yeah, I'm like Aunt Viv.
Yeah, she got issues.
So I definitely think that there's going to be more with that relationship this season. And I think that that's going to be another thing that could send the kids spiraling, because Ashley, Hillary, Will, Carlton, they're all just barely hanging on.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can't have the central, you know, the head of the household falling apart and having marital issues amongst all these things that the kids already have going on. You know, they need to be a united front, and it needs to be a lot of unity within this house. And, you know, it seems like even though Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv expressed that they don't have all the answers, they don't know if they're making all the right choices, they are putting a good effort in. They said they wanted to have the family dinners every 2 weeks or twice a week or something like that. And so I was like, okay, they are trying, but they need the same effort that they're putting into the kids. They got to also put into each other. They got to, you know, you make time for what's important to you.
Exactly. Those two have to come first. But it does bring another issue up, and the question is, can two powerhouses come together and raise a family? I mean, is this what we see? Are we seeing that they're both very powerful in their own careers? And could it be that because of it, this is where all the downfall, this is where all the tearing away of the family structure is coming from? Because, you know, Viv says, first of all, she admits she can't cook. And then two, now they're trying to, you know, stage how many days they have family meals. And she's trying to, now they're thinking about putting on each other's calendar when they can lay down with one another. There's some issues that are going to, you know, evolve. And that, so I'm wondering, can you have two powerhouses raising a household?
I think so. I think it comes down to, you got all of this money and resources, delegate your responsibilities out to other people, so it frees you up to address your marriage and your family. So I mean, like I said before, it all comes down to, you make time for what's important to you. Make the time.
Yeah, families need to still come first.
Yeah.
Now, the last thing, when you say, speaking of you know, family coming first, Jeffrey has this issue with, you know, some people are after him, and he's worried about the safety of his son. And, you know, I don't really have a whole lot of detail about what's going on with Jeffrey and his past. It seems like it's been kind of like, he obviously was involved in maybe some nefarious stuff back in the day, and he's changed his lifestyle. He's moved to America, but some of his past is catching up with him and threatening, you know, his child's safety. So I'm just interested in seeing where that storyline goes, because that does add an interesting twist to things. And, you know, Uncle Phil is doing his best to try to help out and be there for Jeffrey, you know, as needed. But I don't even know if Uncle Phil knows the full details of everything.
I don't think so.
No, I think they both have dark pasts, because, you know, last season it seemed like some stuff was being alluded to, you know, without it being spoken for. It was like Uncle Phil, I think they have some dark past too. I do. I think they do. I think he what's it called, has a history for sure. Jeffrey has a history, and I believe Uncle Phil is aware of the history. I think Jeffrey on this show, he seems like he serves as a fixer. Like when he needs stuff done, he sends Jeffrey to do it and stuff. And Jeffrey seemed like he could be dangerous if he needs to be. So that's what I said. So I think he has a past. Uncle Phil knows what his past is.
Yeah, I think too. I think you're right. I think Phil may have somehow rescued him from some past that they don't want to discuss with the family. But it's interesting, and I do like Jeffrey. I like his moves. I like how he handles himself. But to see him this shook up over something that this ghost, I should call it, because we haven't seen the essence of it. But hey, I think he'll take care of it.
Mm-hmm. I do like how Jeffrey's character also is like another positive male role model in the lives of the kids too, because he kind of brought Will the box from his dad and whatnot. And, you know, he was trying to let him deal with that, you know, all the emotions of that. But he's just like another pillar in that household. So that's one of the saving graces, that even if, you know, Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil do end up on the outs, Jeffrey is still there to kind of pull everybody back together. I think he's another unifier in that household. So that's what gives me some hope that, you know, he can help bring things back on track if they go left.
And now he's still working on that relationship with his own son. So it's questionable how much time he's going to spend in that household, because, you know, he has issues to clean up with his own son. So
I think his son is going to come back.
Yeah, I do too. He should, at least. But I just love how the dynamics of this show is really working out. Season 3 seems to really be a catalyst for the previous 2 seasons, and I just love the way it's really showing itself. You know, it's not often you can have a program that has so many real life issues and how to deal with it.
Yeah, and I like the writing. I like how they introduce these topics and how they address them. And the characters that they choose, the casting, everything is kind of like spot on with how they, you know, portray the show and add a twist, because it's not the traditional, you know, Fresh Prince of Bel Air with all the comedic, you know, aspects. This one is much more like serious and kind of like tailored to addressing everyday issues that happen now in this world. So, you know, I'm just like really impressed with how they approach this new season. So Tiff, do you have anything you want to add? I know we briefly mentioned who can get the hands. We giving Aunt Viv the hands.
Yeah, I'm giving Aunt Viv the hands.
Do you have any other nominations or any other comments you want to make?
I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, she should get the hands too, for the way she's behaving with the jazz thing. Like, she's being kind of flighty with this situation. So I think she gets the hands.
I'm not mad at that.
Hillary and Aunt Viv.
Yeah.
The women is tripping.
Yeah.
All right, and now for game ball, I think I know who we're gonna say. We're gonna say Carlton gets the game ball. Yeah.
I'd like to say that I'd give it to Ash. She opened up a can of worms and at the dinner table that needed to be opened. So if I was going to give it, I'd give it to Ash as well.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm not mad at that either.
Okay, so Carlton and Ashley get the game ball. All right.
And what about Quentin? I mean, you think?
Gave him a second chance. Well, shout out to Vic Mensa for playing Quentin on Bel Air, and he's Jamal on The Chi.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, he seems like he is booked and busy, but, you know, I'll give him an honorable mention for, you know, giving Will a second chance. So that was dope. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I'm looking forward to whatever they have in store for us for the rest of the season. Definitely looking forward to seeing, you know, this cast continue to do their thing. And, you know, I really hope that we can get some interviews, hopefully. You know, I got our fingers crossed on that one. Like, that would be really, really dope if we got an opportunity to interview some of the cast. So we're on the lookout for some of those opportunities. And to the viewers out there, thank you all for watching. Please continue to support us. You know, as we do our thing, we're going to keep coming back to you every single week with dope recaps. A lot of shows are going to be coming back for the fall. So, you know, definitely make sure you click that notification bell so you get alerted whenever we post, and you can follow along with us on some of your favorite shows. Drop down in that comment section as well and let us know what your thoughts are on this first episode of Bel Air Season 3. And, you know, follow us on our social media. We are at The Spot Real Talk on all major platforms. And, you know, continue to reach out. You know, we love having guests too. If you ever want to join in for conversation, you're welcome to reach out in our comments here on YouTube or either over in our DMs on Instagram. And we'll get back to you and let you know for sure. So, Tiff, Ron, you got anything else before we close out?
No, I Thanks at all.
Looking forward to recapping Bel Air.
All right. Well, on that note, we are going to call it a night. We thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next week for episode 2.
Okay. Bye-bye.
You're